Last week, former attorney Alex Murdaugh testified in a double murder trial in which he's accused of killing his son and wife in Colleton County. This week, there's still new developments in this case. Today, I talk one-on-one with criminal defense attorney Tyler Bailey for his analysis on this case for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Tyler D. Bailey, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Of course, you're a well-known criminal defense attorney in the Columbia area. And I know that recently you've been giving your analysis on the Alex Murdaugh double murder trial, which is taking place right now in Colleton County as we speak. And I want to take it back, Tyler, to last week, because as everyone knows, Alex Murdaugh actually took the stand in his defense last week in a double murder trial in which he's accused of killing his wife and son. During a tense cross-examination with lead prosecutor Clayton Waters, Murdaugh admitted to stealing from clients when he was actually a lawyer. He also forcibly denied killing his wife and son, while also admitting and repeatedly lying to investigators that about his whereabouts on the night of the murder in which his wife and son were killed. Let me ask you this, Tyler. With all this, going on right now with Murdaugh being on the stand last week to now, when you look back to when he was on the stand to right now, where's the truth in all of what he was saying?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that is the truth, is that Alex lied. Everybody knows that. So he lied to his clients. He stole millions of dollars from clients, family, people who were close to us. He's lied to him. He's lied to them. He deceived them. He's, tarnished his reputation as a lawyer and tarnished his family's reputation as well. The question is, why did he lie? So we know that he lied to investigators. He's saying that he was not the one who committed the murders. He lied about his whereabouts the evening of the murders. He gets on the stand. He tells the jurors that he lied to investigators. He said he lied because of his drug addiction. But he said the truth is that he did not kill his wife and his son. So one thing is true that I believe everybody in that courtroom is in agreement to, is that Alex has lied to countless people. He destroyed countless people's lives. The question is he telling the truth about not being a murderer?
Well, that brings me to my next question, Tyler. How could you have two unknown shooters that came and actually killed his wife and son, as he says, and not him, and the two unknown shooters left without no one actually noticing anything then or afterwards? Do you believe the defense has effectively established this theory?
Well, the defense is doing everything in their power to further that theory that Alex, although he admitted to lying, he admitted that he was near the kennel shortly before the murders and at the house at the time the murder took place. The question is, how could that happen? If you're at my house and something happened where my dog is in the backyard and I'm in my house, I'm going to hear it. Notably, the defense has made a request today, Quintin, to take the jurors to Moselle. The jurors will be able to see this sprawling estate, which is very large, and they'll be able to get a better idea of how far the kennels is from the house. I think that's the reason why Alex attorneys are making that motion to have the jury take a field trip to view the estate. Because if you had in regular conversations with regular people like you and myself, we don't reside on sprawling estates at this time. Maybe later on, maybe when NBC calls you try to buy your show, Quentin, you may decide to move to a sprawling estate. But most people do not live in an estate like Alex did. So they're going to take him to Moselle, and I'm pretty sure in cross-examination, the defense will even do more to try to say, jurors, look, you saw the kennel, you saw the house, you realize they're not that close together. Do you believe it's possible that these gunshots did occur and Alex cannot hear it? I think that's the question that the jurors are going to need answering.
Tyler, are you surprised the prosecution didn't jump at this in the beginning?
I'm not surprised. I don't think, if I was prosecuting this case, I would not want the jurors to see the estate. Because in normal interactions, normal commonplace knowledge, you're going to ask the question you just asked, Quintin, is how could this happen and he not hear it? So I would rather them see images of the estate, see pictures of the kennel, and not be able to get a real life feel of how big the estate is and how far the kennel is from the house. So I'm not surprised that prosecutors did not ask to have a field trip for the jurors to visit Moselle before. I think it's more so of the defense's burden to try to overcome and try to show jurors that it's not that close together, and it is feasible.
Hmm. Going back to last week, Tyler, do you believe the prosecution's alleged motive for Alex Murdaugh to kill his wife and son allegedly was a secondary motive to simply buy time?
You know, I'm a father. I have two kids, and I can't. I've been talking to my wife about like that motive does not seem like a good motive. Like, why would he kill his son and his wife to distract from uh, an investigation to his alleged financial crimes? It does not seem like a reasonable solution. Now, maybe as a someone who's addicted to pills, who is not thinking properly and snapped, I could see that. Now, we don't see that Alec on trial today. What we're seeing is a sober Alec who's been in jail for a while, pre-trial, before this trial, and the prosecution has not put anything in evidence that really show that there was a rift between father and son, or father and wife, or husband and wife. We haven't seen that. So the theme or the theory or the motive that they're saying for Alex making these slayings is to distract from the investigation into the financial crimes and to gain sympathy, to me does not seem like a good reason for a regular person to kill their wife and kill their son. Now, maybe Alec, who was on drugs and not thinking clearly, possibly. I don't like the motive. It's all based on circumstantial evidence. It is, I believe, the only motive that they could have brought for the prosecution of this case, but it's not that believable to me.
And Tyler, let me ask you this: when you look back at last week, why didn't the defense's witnesses provided more reports or reports at all?
As far as written reports during the investigation,
Yes, sir.
is that what you're asking, Quentin?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Well, I think that I think the defense has done a good job with their experts trying to poke holes into how the investigation into the murders was performed by SLED and other investigators. I think that the defense's best tactic here was to use the prosecution's own investigation against them to show how it was not done up to the level of I guess, a picture perfect investigation should have been. You know, you have people coming in and out of the crime scene. We have even regular people who aren't investigators walking around. You have footsteps in blood. I mean, things that seem very sloppy for one of the most high profile murders that this state has ever seen. So I think that was the best angle for the defense to take, was to attack the prosecution's investigation rather than submit their own written reports to how it should have been done.
And you mentioned it a little bit in the last answer, but let me ask it as a repetitive question. Do you believe SLED botched this particular investigation?
Botch, I believe, is a strong word. Botch, to me, would mean that their investigation was so poorly done that it's almost certainly Alex would be acquitted for the crimes that he's accused of committing. So I don't believe they botched it. I do believe that they did not do a great investigation. It could have been done better. And I believe at a case of this magnitude, you expect more from any law enforcement agency. I do think that the prosecution has done a pretty good job in presenting their case to juries. I also believe that the defense has done a great job in exploiting weaknesses in the prosecution's case. So botch is a strong word. Was it poor? Certainly. Could it have been done better? Yes. The question will their investigation and the mistakes that they've done in the investigation be enough to get out acquitted, or at the very least a hung jury?
Which one do you see right now, acquitted or actually a hung jury?
Well, my mind has been training as a lawyer and somebody who often defends people who have been accused of committing crimes. I am zeroing in on the reasonable doubt that I think Alex's defense team has done a great job in presenting. So I think at this point, I don't see it being an acquittal, because we have to have a unanimous verdict. So all jurors need to agree the same way, whether for a conviction or a acquittal. So I'm not sure if all jurors are going to agree to acquittal. We'll see. I do think there's a strong likelihood of there being a hung jury, because there's some reasonable doubt, and this case by the prosecution is largely circumstantial evidence. There's no official murder weapons that have been found. Alec did admit to lying about his whereabouts. You have a difference in the time that the murders could have been committed based off of the state's expert and the defense's expert. Then the whole motive of why he committed the murders is not the strongest, in my opinion. So it could go either way. Jurors are funny. You think you think you can get a read on them, but you can't. There's no telling. I can say I think the defense did show there is some reasonable doubt that Alec committed the murders, but just because they presented reasonable doubt doesn't mean the jurors are thinking like I am. It could be very well be a conviction. It could be acquittal. It could be a hung jury. I know that if it is a hung jury, Lord, this case has to be tried again for maybe a month long. That would be a rough retrial.
So, and going back to last week, Tyler, why didn't you think the prosecution cross-examined Murdaugh on the murders versus his financial crimes?
Well, I think they wanted to paint a picture of Alec on the stand as a liar, number one, saying that he's already lied to his family, he's lied to his law partners and colleagues who he's worked with for decades, and now because he's lied to these people, why wouldn't he be lying to you, jury, who he has something to gain out of lying now? Just like he did then. He was lying to steal money or thwart people from looking into his alleged financial crimes. And now they want to show that he's lying or he has the ability to lie. So jurors, you cannot trust them. And also with the cross-examination, they did ask a few questions. Was he a family annihilator? Alec, he addressed the issue before the prosecution could by saying that he did not kill his wife and his son. He said that he would never intentionally hurt him. And then he also later on said that he would never hurt his family. So I think it came up, but the stronger case here is clearly the financial crimes. I mean, those are outlined very thorough in, I believe, 99 other cases, or maybe 98. You have documents to prove those. You don't have that direct evidence with the murder. So I think that the prosecution's goal with having Alec cross-examined was to show that he's a liar, to show that he was at the kennel, and try to elicit some sort of response from him that shows that he had the ability to commit those murders. One thing I think, a lot of times it's what a witness does on the stand versus what a witness says. So Creighton Waters did a pretty vigorous cross-examination of Alec. Alec mainly or largely kept his composure. We didn't see any rage from him on the jury while he was testifying, because if he would have showed some anger, I think a juror could have said, hey, there it goes. That shows me the personality of somebody who could commit a murder. Alec largely was able to contain himself. So I think that's one thing he did well. And I think the state just did not have as much evidence to cross-examine him on the murder for than they did the financial crimes.
Wow. So when Murdaugh was on that witness stand, do you feel like he came off as too repetitive?
I think that he came off as, I think he had to be repetitive. Because he lied so much. I mean, if he has a rap sheet of 50, 40 financial crimes, and he's asked the same questions of, did you sit down with this person? Did you look them in the eye when you stole from them? Did you steal from your best friend? Did you steal from your injured clients? I think he had to repeat is that, yes, I did. I was wrong. I'm remorseful. I should not have done it. And, but I did not kill my wife and son. I think that's the only response that he can give. I think that if he would have went into the details of, oh, no, I didn't sit across from this person, or I didn't steal like this, or I didn't do that, I think that the jury would not have liked him trying to explain his way out of him lying. I think his best job on the stand was to admit to being a liar, to admit to stealing from his clients and people who were close to him, but then draw attention back that, look, I did this, but that does not mean I killed my wife and my son. And no, not only does it not mean I didn't commit it, but there's no way I could do it.
Speaking of the people close to him, Tyler, why don't you think that the prosecution didn't focus more on Gloria Satterfield, his housekeeper?
Well, I think one thing is, probably on cross-examination, what I'm hearing is that Gloria Satterfield's family does not believe that Alec intentionally murdered Gloria Satterfield. I think they know that he stole, of course, from them intentionally, but I think there may be some question as to whether he actually pushed her down the stairs or was involved in some sort of slaying. And I think maybe on the stand that would have came out on cross examination by the defense. So I think they did not have as much to gain by calling her as a witness as one may think, because I'm not sure that her family believes that even though Slut is exhuming the body, they're looking into it again. I don't think her family is so sold that Alec murdered Gloria Satterfield. So that could be a reason. Don't quote me on that. I heard that somewhere. Right. Just like, we're all hearing so much stuff concerning this trial, yes. But that could be a reason as to why they didn't call her or call the family.
And I know obviously you're not a part of the trial in no way, shape, or form, but do we know how long it has been since his wife Maggie was actually staying at his house?
We don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's one thing that I think they kind of hinted, is that she was living largely separate from him. So if they were this happy, sweet family, why weren't they living together? I do think maybe the defense could say, look, it's summertime in South Carolina. They have an estate in Edisto. They have a hunting lodge. He works in Hampton County. He's traveling a lot for court. So, of course, a lot of people who are fortunate enough to have estates at Edisto would frequent Edisto, in June, stay down there at the time of these murders. So I think the defense could have tried to address it that way. But as far as the knowledge that I have, I don't think we know exactly how long they've been living separate and apart. And it has not been a main theme of the prosecution or the defense, because if it was, we would probably have a better idea of that time frame.
And obviously, when you go back to last week, once again, when obviously Alex Murdaugh was on the stand with his attorney's objections, Dick Harpootlian, did it seem to you that he was actually trying to steer the cross to the financial questions rather than other areas that might be more, say, damaging to Murdaugh?
Well, I believe. Are you talking about Alex's own testimony on the stand?
Yes.
Or are you talking about during the cross examination?
Yeah. Excuse me.
So Alex, Alex, as a longtime lawyer who's used to controlling witnesses and presenting his case, it was a battle of two lawyers trying to control how they want the line of questioning to go. So Alex, of course, in my opinion, will be trying to control the follow-up questions and how the questions sound before the jury. For example, lawyers always ask a question, yes or no. Did you steal this? Yes or no. Well, the best answer a witness could give is not just say yes or no. They need to give some explanation. They need to give their answer, not the answer that the prosecutor or examining witness wants them to give. So Alec, as a trained lawyer, was trying his best to do that. Anytime he received a yes or no question, he would try to steer the question, give some explanation, look towards the juror, say, yeah, but no, it's not really like that. For example, they could even agree if he's a wealthy attorney. Alex said, well, I have some years that are up, some years that are bad. He wouldn't just say, yes, I'm a wealthy lawyer. For the jurors just to say, he's a wealthy lawyer. He wanted the jurors to think, well, sometimes he's doing well, sometimes he's not doing well. Not perceived as just this rich, wealthy lawyer with multiple estates and millions of dollars that he's stolen from his clients, hid it under the mattress. So Alec was trying to control the outcome of the line of questioning that was given by the prosecutors.
And he was looking at the jury most of the time during his particular his time on the stand. Did that actually help him?
I think it did. You want to. The main thing is, you see the lawyers. We see the lawyers on the TV screen. We're seeing Dick. We're seeing Jim. We're seeing Creighton. We're seeing all the other lawyers examine him. But at the end of the day, the most important person or people in the courtroom are the jurors. So Alec needed to get on the stand, not to argue with the prosecution, not to curry favor or just answer the call of his lawyer's questions. He needed to look at the jury, tell the jury his story, and hopefully come off in a way that resonated with the jurors, so they were swayed his way. So it's good practice for a witness to talk to the jury, and I think that Alec did a decent job talking to the jurors when he was questioned.
And one last question for you, Mr. Bailey. What do we expect next? What should we expect next that might be surprising to all of us?
I think the closing arguments in this case are going to be something that everybody's going to want to pay attention to. This case has been going on for well over 20, days and some change. Jurors are not taking notes, so there's so much information that they are receiving. They've been told not to talk about the case. They're not watching the news and opinion pieces about this case. So I think the closing arguments on this by both the prosecution and the defense, they're going to try to zero in on what their case is and hopefully sway the jurors their way. The jurors don't have the benefit that you and I are doing. They're not talking about this case over and over again. They're not looking at, they're not taking notes and putting stars by things they found important. It's going to be the closing arguments, I believe. And then one of the last things, one of the biggest things is going to be different for them is seeing the estate. So the lawyers aren't going to ask questions when they're on the property, but the jurors are going to actually see the kennels. They're going to see the house. And I think during the closing arguments, the defense probably has something up their sleeve to how all this comes into play.
Criminal defense attorney Tyler Bailey Sr. Thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If you ever need anything again, feel free to reach out.
I definitely will. Thank you.